Cristina de Melo, Vice President of North America, Caribbean and Mexico, LATAM Airlines. Cristina de Melo is the Vice President of North America, Caribbean and Mexico at LATAM Airlines, where she spearheads the region's commercial strategy. A key aspect of her role involves further strengthening the joint venture between LATAM and Delta Airlines in the North American market, where she has been instrumental in consolidating LATAM's presence. Diego Ospina, Director of South America, Delta Airlines. Diego Ospina is Director of South America at Delta Airlines, where he leads regional sales and the commercial integration with LATAM Airlines. With over 20 years of experience across network planning, revenue management, and sales, he has played a key role in major industry transformations, including mergers and joint ventures. He holds an international MBA from IE Business School, Spain, and a Bachelor of Science in Economics and Corporate Finance.
Bueno, buenas tardes, good afternoon, boa tarde. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today. Together with Cristina, in these 20 minutes, we want to share the story of our partnership and share with you why our partnership is different in every single aspect. Before I jumped into that, I know that many of you are frequent flyers, hopefully from LATAM or Delta, but are not experts in the airline industry. So I want to start by explaining why in our industry it's critical to have alliances. So our industry is, the cost of capital is very intensive, meaning it's super expensive. The margins are very low in general, meaning that it's super risky. And the third thing is that it's highly regulated. So it's not like if we owned a brand of coffee and we want to sell our coffee in 150 countries. That's not easy to do either. But our approach to become global in spirit is with other airlines in alliances. Most of the airlines have alliances, and there's 3 different tiers of alliances. The first level, the most basic one, is what we call an interline agreement, where basically 2 airlines take you from point A to point B. Hopefully, they let you check your bag. If your bag arrives, good luck. If it doesn't arrive, you're in trouble because they don't know where it is, given the information that they can share with each other. The next level of agreement that only a few airlines have is a codeshare agreement, where with one single ticket, you can go to point A to point B, again, connecting. You think they're traveling in the same airline, but sometimes you get surprised because you travel in an airline that is a legacy carrier, and then you connect in a low-cost carrier, and your baggage may arrive. If not, they're going to be able to solve it. But the deepest level of collaboration is what we call a joint venture. And only a handful of alliances are able to do what is a joint venture. So a joint venture, in simple terms, is an alliance between 2 or 3 airlines within a certain scope. In our case, is a partnership between North America and South America, where we can share strategies, pricing, and commercial strategies. And that is what allows us to go deeper, adding benefits to the customers in this scope. We have other alliances that also do joint ventures, but the way we approach it, we feel is very different. Why? Because we put the customer in the center of every single decision we make, because for us, it's a long-term play, and most importantly, it's because it's not a transaction. We know that customers experience what it is a joint venture, and there's expectations behind that.
So we wanted to tell you a little bit who we were before this joint venture. For LATAM, we're an airline that was #1 in South America, connecting South America to the world, one of the top airline groups in the world as well, known for our customer experience, our loyalty programs, and our network. We had a partner before, another partner that wasn't Delta, that helped the connectivity to North America, and also some benefits. But we knew we wanted to go deeper. North America was critical for our strategy, so we were always looking to how could we have a partnership that didn't only look at how to get the passenger from point A to point B, but how could we really give them benefits together? Make sure that for a corporate client or company traveling, that they could have one contract, that it would be easy to understand the conditions that we gave them and how we could really have a more strategic, aligned experience for everybody. So we started to draw that up, and we wanted to execute that with our original partner, actually. But one thing in our industry that it's super regulated. It's not something that when you get your board approval, you can go ahead and do. We have to have the government approvals as well. And LATAM, we operate in multiple countries, and we also had to have the American government's approval. And as we were going on, we hit a major roadblock. They didn't approve our joint venture that we wanted to do with our previous partner. So now we were stuck, in a sense. We knew what we wanted to do, but we didn't have the partner to do it with. So we had to go back to the drawing board.
In our case, as Delta, before the partnership with LATAM started, back in 2019, we were already positioned in the US not as an airline, but as a trusted household consumer company. We had a strong loyalty base. We had high-value customers from different segments, corporate travelers, high-end leisure travelers. We had a premium performance against the competitors. And this was mainly driven because of the partnerships that we had in other regions. We have a strong partnership between the US and Europe. We have another strong partnership between the US and Asia Pacific, and another partnership between the US and Mexico. This is what we call the joint ventures. And they were performing really well. But in South America, we had also another partner, which was a smaller airline in only one of the countries of South America, the biggest one, but still the scope was small. But most importantly, our business models were different. And we know that we needed more coverage. Why do we need more coverage? Let me share with you this stat. In the United States, for every citizen, in average, they travel 2.5 times. In South America, is 1/4 of that number, less than 0.6 trips per capita. So we know it's not only about coverage. We know it's about how to become relevant in a region that will grow exponentially in the future. And for that, we needed a partner like LATAM that had the position and the knowledge in the South America market.
So the first part was pretty simple in a sense, was we knew that what we needed to do or what we wanted to do. As you heard, both for Delta and for LATAM, we had a clarity that we wanted to expand in the markets where each other operated. And for us, we were out a partner, and it made sense. Also with Delta, we didn't have a lot of competition in routes between North and South America. So we were truly complementary. And when we started to look at the pillars that are core values, they were also pretty similar. The decision was pretty easy. However, then the hard work started. We had to have all the government approvals. We also had to have the preparation with all the teams. We weren't allowed to talk to each other about the strategies that we wanted to do before we had the government approvals. So in each pillar that we knew we wanted to integrate and work together, we started to prepare, but without having the ability to talk. Revenue management teams, which data should we show each other? Which goals are we looking for? How do our teams work? Sales teams, operation teams, airports, how are we going to make this happen? Customer support, what are we able to show? How do we work? How do we explain it to this partner? And even language barriers, right? LATAM operates in multiple countries in South America. We have Portuguese, Spanish, already a lot of cultures, and we're integrating another one. So it was really interesting in this preparation phase. There was a lot of preparation.
Yeah, a lot of preparation. Actually, to put this in a time frame, it was 3 years. So we as Delta, as I shared before, we had joint ventures in the past. We had joint ventures in Europe, Asia Pacific, and Mexico. So we had a playbook of alliances. And in those 3 years, I mean, I cannot count how many PowerPoints we created to prepare for day one. But then when day one approached, we did something similar. We said, you know what? Let's approach this new partnership with a white piece of paper, and let's come together. It's a partnership of equals, and let's the two of us define what we want it to be. And I still remember that meeting that we had in September with that white piece of paper. And the first thing we agreed is that this partnership was all about the customers and the benefits we were going to add to them. And the customers were the ones that were going to dictate what are going to be our priorities and the things that we needed to solve to make their trips better, because we knew that if we got that right, then the results will come along.
And also to complement what Diego's saying, we decided not to hold each other accountable, but to have common goals and have accountability together. So we would share the good news and the bad news, and that would make the teams also have the shared accountability and not point the finger one another. We have to do this together. So that was one of the key pillars of how we constructed the beginning of our partnership. But then reality hit. What happens when it really starts? So as Diego mentioned, the decision was taken in early 2019. We knew that we wanted to come together. We had the board approvals. The decisions was made. We started the process to get all the approvals that we needed. But a few months in, what happened that we all lived through here, COVID-19 hit. It was really, really difficult, and the travel industry was one of the industries that was affected the most. I remember sitting in Chile and seeing all of the LATAM planes grounded. We couldn't travel. All the restrictions from all the different countries we had to take in consideration. And it was really hard because the uncertainty was total and it was global. What is going to happen to our industry, right? And on the other side, from most governments in other countries were helping the airlines. They were putting funds into them. And in LATAM's case, we did not get any government support. So we had to take a really hard decision. Although we had been doing really, really well before the COVID, we were in a really hard bind. So we had to file for Chapter 11 and restructure our financial situation. But in the meantime, we also had tough conversations. Do we believe we're going to make it out of this? The answer was yes. So we have to have a long-term strategy. What do we want this to look like once we're done with Chapter 11? What are the core things that are going to be our long-term strategy to make us a successful airline in the long run? And when we looked at the joint venture, that was one of the key pillars. We knew that we needed a deep partnership, good benefits, go beyond just connectivity to make this a sustainable business in the long run. So we kept pushing forward.
Yeah, in COVID, we learned I think, a lot of things. But one of the things that will stay with me forever was a quote shared by our CEO. And it is that crises, they don't build character, they reveal character. And I think the spirit of our partnership clearly was revealed in that moment of crisis. In 2019, when we said we were going to be partnering together, Delta invested $2 billion with a B in the partnership. 1 year later, with Chapter 11, everything was erased. Of course, we were also in a difficult situation like LATAM. We had other revenue streams that helped us navigate COVID. We had limited resources, but with those limited resources, we invest them in what we think was going to be our strategy for the future. And we invested again in the partnership because we knew that the only way that we were able to capture that growth in South America was with a partner like LATAM.
And this became actually the pillar of our true partnership that we stand on today too. We had to be super honest. We had to be really transparent and have a fluid communication because everybody knows that when it's going well, it's easy to invest. It's easy to think about new ideas and solve problems. When you have a financial struggle and you have very much uncertainty, transparency is super important and making sure that we still are aligned on the common goals. And it was something that we communicated constantly. Even today, me and Diego were part of a management team of how the sales strategy is going to work. We have meetings every week to make sure that we're still aligned on marketing, on how the teams are communicating in the different countries. What do we need? That they're having the trainings that they need. It's a constant. It's for the long run. So we stayed in that sense from the beginning.
So I think that in the intro they shared that I've been 20 years working in alliances, joint ventures, so on. And I can tell you, the PowerPoint and the Excel sheet support every strategy. It's about how you implement the strategy. And to be effective implementing a strategy, you need to change how you operate. Sounds super easy, but you need to integrate teams, you need to integrate processes, and you need to integrate systems. And this is something that doesn't happen overnight. And you need to be resilient because you need to find solutions when things don't go as planned. Why? Because the expectations of the customers are there. They don't understand how complex it is. They just want a seamless experience. So let's put a simple example. You're a LATAM passenger, you arrive to Miami, you want to go to Boston with Delta, you have your LATAM ticket, you go to the Delta counter because you have an issue, because you want to change your flight, whatever the circumstances, you expect that Delta is going to be able to solve for that, right? But if the system is not working, what do you do? So you need to come up with creative solutions or interim solutions. Like for example, in the airport, what we did is that we put a Delta employee in the LATAM counter and vice versa. So whenever a customer arrived and the LATAM agent was not empowered or not have enough information to make the decision for the customer, someone behind the scenes was supporting him to give an answer to the customer.
And for us, how do we measure that it's working, that our plan is working? It's in these details. We have a long list. We strive off of feedback. We are always looking at what has the biggest impact on the customer, right? We still have a long way to go because we are two different airlines that operate differently that have to make it work. But we measure it in what we have been able to do in these 4 years. For example, as a passenger, I hope many of you have flown with us and that you're part of our frequent flyer program, even Delta or LATAM. You can redeem points with one another. You can have access to the lounges. Your bag will go through. You can book your ticket from Austin to Sao Paulo or beyond without any seams. And then you have the tangible part, the operational part. We have teams at the airport. We had to invest in moving the terminals where we operated to ensure that it was easier for the teams to work together and for the passenger to connect. It's not easy to move a whole operation from one side in the airport to another. This is ongoing. We've done it in our core hubs, and we want to expand it even more. We made sure that our revenue management teams, the prices were aligned, and also the connectivity, the time slots, making sure that where the passengers want to go more frequently, the itineraries match. So our sales support team, what happens when something goes wrong? Can we find the baggages easy if they're lost? How do we do if there's a hiccup? We are constantly working on making those seamless, as frictionless as possible. It's a long journey. The lists are huge, but we keep working at it, and we've managed to do so much in these last 4 years. And it's something that, again, the teams have to be in different squads and making sure that it happens along every pillar where we work.
That's right. I think this slide highlights all the success that we had in these 3 years. And we're very proud of that. And we're very proud of all the results that we accomplished over this last year in every single metric, financially, operationally, customer satisfaction, you name it. But what we know also, and we learned over the years, is that sometimes circumstances out of your control can wipe and delete everything. So what matters is what you build for the long term. And we truly believe that our partnership has a strong foundation that will allow us to capture that South America customer that we're gonna have. And it's because of 3 things. One, as I said before, is a shared strategy. It's not 2 airlines working together. It's one strategy for the Americas. The second one is the long-term mindset. Despite of what's happening on the day, every day, and we know that Latin America is one of the most volatile regions. Every day you open the news, you hear something different. We know that we're here for the long term. And third, and most important, as Cristina mentioned, the customer is in the center of every single decision. We know that we come a long way, but we know that in that list that she mentioned of things that we need to solve, that list, we still need to work on it. And we'll feel that feedback. So also, for everyone in the audience, you have our LinkedIn contact. If you have any issue or any feedback for the Alliance that can make us better, welcome to share it.
And a little bit just to close, one of the things we hope is to leave you with the question. In your industries, is there any partnerships that can go further, beyond the margins, that don't only work together, but really have a common goal and work to make it seamless for the customer at the end of the day? So we hope we've inspired you to go a little bit beyond the margins and beyond the standards of having a common goal. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.